Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and today I'd like to talk to you about gluten. I live in Boulder, Colorado, and gluten-free has become such a big thing here. And I'd like to talk to you, before we give gluten a life sentence and make everybody go on a gluten-free diet to be healthy, let's talk a little bit about gluten. And maybe we have overreacted to this concept of a gluten-free diet. Gluten is a protein molecule, a very hard to digest protein molecule. And if we have a digestive system that's weakened, and many of us do, we don't digest the protein the way we should. And when that protein molecule of gluten goes through the stomach into the small intestine, it will irritate the intestinal villi. It will actually separate them and cause a bigger spaces for undigested proteins like gluten or other proteins and pathogens and heavy metals and toxins to move into the blood supply and into the lymphatic system. It's that dance between the intestinal villi and the gut-associated lymphatic tissue where 80% of your where your immune system lies. So your immunity is right there. So if that is compromised in any way, we have immune compromising issues, we become heavy, sluggish, tired, fibromyalgia, compromised immunity, tired, stiff joints, achy, a host of conditions that I talk about in the series that I wrote about and did videos on about the lymphatic system, about digestion and detoxification. So please go to my website at lifespa.com, go to my newsletter archives and look at some of these and understand more about how we can restart the digestive process so we can begin to digest these gluten proteins better. One of the most important things about gluten is to realize that it's really not the gluten that's a toxic substance. It's that our digestive system has become weakened and we need to learn to strengthen our digestive system. And I gave a whole list of digestive strengthening agents on some of my previous newsletters about how to improve your digestion. And that's something we really need to look at and understand. But today I want to talk about kind of gluten in general. First of all, gluten is we mostly get our gluten from wheat. Wheat is harvested in the fall. It's harvested in the fall to be eaten in the winter. It's a warm, heavy, high protein, high fat grain, a very mucousy grain that helps to insulate us from the coldness and dryness of winter. So in the winter, when it's cold and dry, nature gives us the perfect grain to insulate us and protect us. It also strengthens our digestive system. According to Ayurvedic medicine, it shows that the digestive system is much stronger in the winter time when we actually harvest the gluten. So nature did have a plan. It was a very logical plan. In the winter, we need the high proteins and high fats from our grains. We have a higher and a stronger digestion to digest the gluten, to digest the milk, to digest the meats, to digest the heavier foods that we may need to weather a long winter and insulate us throughout the winter. And this was known traditionally. I mean, in the old days, they would soak grains to make them easier to digest, so the gluten would be broken down in the soaking process. Sourdough bread has a fermentation process that actually helps to break down the gluten grain and makes the gluten significantly easier to digest. So a couple of things about gluten. Number one, it's best taken if you're going to take it in the winter time, and good quality sourdough bread can actually make it a little bit easier. In the springtime, this is a gluten-free time of the year. So if there was ever a time of the year to go gluten-free and allow your intestinal villi to heal after eating all the heavy proteins and cakes and pastas and holiday food in the winter time, then we go on a gluten-free diet naturally. And this is all from my book, The 3-Season Diet, where I talk about eating more of the foods that are harvested in the winter, more of the foods that are harvested in the spring, and more of the foods that are harvested in the summer. The 3 growing seasons in nature actually provide us with a diet that makes perfect sense. You have a high protein diet in the wintertime, a naturally occurring low-fat diet in the spring, and a high-carbohydrate diet in the summertime. The 3 best-selling diets in the world actually exist in nature for 4 months of the year, and that's a very important understanding, is to make an effort to change our diet from season to season. And in the springtime, it is the gluten-free time of the year. But it wasn't meant to be a life sentence of no gluten. The winter, if you can get your digestive strong and look at my articles and my videos about how to do that, there are digestive agents like ginger and pepper and an herb called trickatu, which is phenomenal to strengthen the digestive system. You take it before a meal and you help digest the system better. I've got 6 kids, and if we have a pizza delivered or something on a Friday night, I'll give all the kids a little bit of trickatu, a capsule of trickatu, before they digest this heavy glutinous, heavy dairy meal that's incredibly hard to digest. So we strengthen the digestive fire so we can digest those things. But you don't have to become dependent on a pill or a powder. You can actually learn to strengthen your digestion so it happens naturally. And remember, gluten is going to be easier to digest in the wintertime, and it's going to be a time of the year to heal and repair the gluten in the spring and to some extent in the summertime. So please read more about this understanding of gluten on the article associated with this video. I've written numerous articles on my website with videos associated that, and you can YouTube search my name, Dr. John Douillard, and read and watch all the videos about how to re-strengthen your digestive system, how to destagnate your lymphatic system, and how to really optimize your health so you can digest a wide array of foods and not feel like you're moving into a restricted way of life or a restricted diet. Many of us have over the years have slowly kind of stopped eating certain foods. We've stopped eating fried foods or fatty foods or greasy foods or glutinous foods or lots of breads or lots of pastas or heavy kinds of foods. And yes, it's better to eat lighter foods and it's better to be healthier, there's no question. But if we made those choices because we're not digesting the hard to digest foods well, I think we're naive to think that we're digesting the easy to digest foods perfectly. And more importantly, are we breaking down the toxins that are in our environment well? And that's the critical piece of the puzzle. Not only because the same systems that digest the food and assimilate the food break down the toxins and detoxify us, and that's a critical piece of the puzzle. And I invite you to look at my website and my newsletters about how to detoxify yourself as well. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Thanks for listening.